After finishing the NC500, I debated whether I wanted to keep my momentum or take a break to celebrate. I ultimately decided to take an extra day in Fort Augustus, in no small part because I hadn't been sleeping well in my tent. But this turned out to be exactly the right decision. I was minding my own business on the evening of the 20th when my phone lit up with a message. "Hey, are you staying at Morax Lodge?" Yes, I was. And who should be asking this but Roshan, who finished his own ride through the NC500 the day after I did. I said it before and I'll say it again, there's nothing like the serendipity of travel. Naturally, we hung out that evening and chatted about what we thought about different parts of the route, and we were joined by Finn, who seemed pretty committed to buying a bike after hearing about our stories. Finn is the guy in the white shirt waving us away when we left the next morning. Unfortunately, our plans to ride out together that morning were scuppered. I forgot to return my room key, so after 3 minutes of company, I was back to my usual solo experience. I don't love that the rain collected on the lens of my camera, but being exposed to the elements is just part of riding, so let's call it a mark of authenticity. I'm planning to put my Glencoe footage into another supercut, but after leaving the Highlands, the roads got a lot busier and a lot less interesting. Since I saved very little footage from the next couple of days, I'll just recap what happened. First, I stopped off in Ayr because that's the name of the town I grew up back in Canada.
Quick update, I made it to Ayr. It's a much larger town than the one in Canada. It's on the seaside too, which is nice, if the seagulls would shut up and let me speak. Just had a conversation with a couple of youths, I think is the only good term. They must have been like 16 to 18 kind of age. A couple of guys just wandering down the street asking me about my bike. Told them from Canada and they seemed incredibly surprised. Bloody hell though, the accents were nearly incomprehensible. Very, very thick. The only ferry available today leaves too late. I guess before midnight and then arrives at about 2 in the morning. I'd need to find like an actual hotel to stay in, so it's just not feasible. I'll have a quiet night again today. It is nice to have me time. Although I suppose every day and everything is me time these days.
I mentioned earlier that I didn't save much footage from my last days in Scotland and my first couple days in Ireland, so I'm going to break from my last couple of videos and include a few days worth of footage in one. One reason for this is that my dash camera didn't loop over old footage properly, but once I figured that out, I started regularly cleaning off my SD card to ensure it didn't happen again. I felt a little bad for scaring this cat, but I'm glad my camera caught it. They can run surprisingly quickly. After my little incident on the North York Moors, I got really cautious every time I saw sheep on the road. I'd slow right down just in case they were going to dart out. Anyway, to continue my recap.
It's very funny though, when I first pulled into the port, there was another bike. The only other bike here at that point was from Canada. Lauren and Larissa have been traveling the world more or less on and off for 8 years, which is amazing. They're from Vancouver. They're just doing a year traveling around the world again. So we're chatting for a bit before I left. It's very nice, a little taste of home in the middle of Scotland where you wouldn't expect it.
One other quick note about this encounter, it was the second time I left my key on the bike and walked away. Sometimes my bike doesn't properly shift into 4th gear. This sort of false neutral is easy enough to fix, but it does make me rev a bit high sometimes. Just as I was getting into the flow of this section, along came some more sheep to block the road. So I did what I could, not just to get them out of my way, but to clear them off the road entirely. I left Belfast and visited the Giant's Causeway on my first evening in Ireland. I always thought the Giant's Causeway was a huge stretch of beach, so I was a little surprised at how small it was. They did do something pretty cool with parking at the Giant's Causeway. Give this a listen.
They charge you £10 for parking, but they give you a voucher at the cafe for £10 as well. I feel like that's a reasonable enough way to do it, to be honest. I'm encouraging you to spend the money at the place.
first major difference between Ireland and Scotland is just how cloudy it was. Scotland was sunny and warm, Ireland was cold, wet and damp. I also had some thoughts about the infrastructure. Listen to this.
The roads aren't as good as Scotland, unfortunately. The tarmac is just not up to snuff so much. The worst ones actually are the roads where it's kind of rippled. So it's not like it's a pothole or a rough patch in the middle, it's just the tarmac is wavy and you bump constantly as you go over it. Those ones feel like I just have no control. I got used to having nobody about. Now it's, well, we're riding through towns. There are people just living by the side of the road. Either way, I found myself getting very irritated today.
Although the 23rd was a rough day for me, the 24th was way better. I'll recap while we watch the road leading to Killamore Abbey.
Made it to Donegal. It's a very nice town. Just hanging out in the Diamond city centre. The gelato place is quite a long line now, so I'm debating whether that's worth it. It's been a long day, it's been a lot of wind. I may just go half an hour down the road to the next campsite. We shall see.
Unfortunately, the first place I pulled up was a total bust.
Just pulled up at a campsite and they only do motorhomes, so we're heading another 20 minutes down the road. It's not too late, it's still quite light, it's still quite warm, so I'm not too worried about it, but it's a pain.
But I did find a place to stop for the night pretty soon afterwards.
I am at the Easkie site. Nice enough place, freshly mowed grass, not too buggy, not too cold, quite clear. When I was checking my initial plan, I missed out on Queen Maeve's cairn, which is slightly disappointing. But I did about 2/3 of what I'd planned to do tomorrow today. If I keep this up, I will be in good form to finish Ireland early, which isn't necessarily, a goal to finish early, but if I do, it gives me more time for other places. Yesterday was iffy, had my crisis of confidence, briefly, but it was a good day, I think.